Nathan Hale had expected the countryside to feel quiet, peaceful even, but Elder Hollow Road greeted him with a silence so heavy it felt like a held breath. The gravel crunched under his boots as he stepped out of the taxi, suitcase in hand. The driver didn't bother offering help. He kept the engine running, eyes fixed on the crooked house at the end of the path. "You sure this is the place?" the man muttered, knuckles whitening on the steering wheel. Nathan nodded. "My aunt's old home." The driver grimaced as if that explained everything. "Good luck then." And he drove off without another word. Nathan stood alone before the house he had inherited from Aunt Miriam. A relative he barely remembered, a woman who had lived and died in near-sewer total isolation. The house was a sagging, toothoid story structure with peeling paint and a porch that leaned like it was tired of holding itself up. The surrounding trees pressed close, their branches clawing at the roof as though trying to reclaim it. But it wasn't the house that made Nathan pause. It was the cat. A black 20 white creature sat on the porch railing, tail curled neatly around its paws. Its fur was glossy, almost too clean for a place so neglected. Its eyes, pale, almost silver, watched him with an unsettling stillness, not curiosity, not fear, something else, recognition. Nathan blinked. "Hey there," he said softly. Taking a step forward, the cat didn't move, didn't blink, it simply stared, as if evaluating him. A breeze rustled the trees, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and something metallic. Nathan shivered. He wasn't superstitious, but the cat-esque gaze made him feel as though he were being measured against some invisible standard. He climbed the porch steps. The wood groaned under his weight. The cat shifted just enough to let him pass, but its eyes never left him inside. The house smelled of dust and old wood. The air was stale, as though no window had been opened in years. Nathan set his suitcase down and flicked the light switch. Nothing, the power was dead. He sighed and moved deeper into the living room. Furniture draped in sheets, a fireplace filled with cold ash, a grandfather clock that had stopped at 3:17. The silence pressed in from all sides behind him. Claws clicked softly on the floorboards. Nathan turned. The cat had followed him inside. "Guess you live here too," he murmured. The cat sat in the doorway, head tilted slightly as if listening to something beneath the floor. Its ears twitched. Then it looked up at him again, eyes gleaming in the dim light. Nathan frowned. "What is it?" A faint sound answered him, so soft he thought. At first it was the wind, a whisper of movement, a scrape, a dragging noise from under the floorboards. Nathan froze. The cat's fur bristled, tail puffing out. It hissed, not at him, but at the floor. The sound came again, a slow, deliberate scratch. Nathan swallowed hard. "Probably mice," he whispered, though the words felt thin and unconvincing. The cat looked up at him sharply as if offended by the suggestion. Nathan forced a laugh. Okay, maybe not mice." He knelt, pressing his ear to the floor. The wood was cold, too cold, and beneath it, something shifted, not scurrying, not random. A single measured scrape like a fingernail, dragging across the underside of the planks. Nathan jerked back. The cat stepped closer, placing itself between him and the sound. Its body was tense, muscles coiled. For the first time since arriving, Nathan felt truly unwelcome. Not by the house, by whatever was beneath it. Nathan woke to darkness so complete it felt physical, like a thick cloth pressed over his eyes. For a moment he didn't remember where he was. The unfamiliar ceiling, the faint smell of mildew, the distant creak of old beams settling. It all came back slowly, piece by piece. Then he heard it. Scratch. A single deliberate stroke beneath the floorboards. He held his breath, listening. The house was silent again, but the silence felt wrong, stretched thin, as if waiting for something to break it. Scratch, scratch. This time 2 in a row, slow, purposeful. Nathan sat up, heart thudding. The cat, he'd left it downstairs, was suddenly on the bed beside him, though he hadn't heard it enter. Its pale eyes glowed faintly in the dark, fixed on the floor. "How did you?" He began, but the cat hissed softly, silencing him. The sound came again, louder now, not the frantic skittering of mice, not the random scuffle of an animal. This was rhythmic, intentional, as though something beneath the floor was trying to communicate. Or escape. Nathan swung his legs over the side of the bed. The floorboards were icy under his feet. The cat followed him, tail low, body tense. He crouched and pressed his palm to the wood. Nothing, he exhaled shackily. See, probably just the floor vibrated, a faint tremor like something brushing the underside of the planks. Nathan jerked back, stumbling. The cat leapt in front of him, fur bristling, a low growl rumbling from its throat. Nathan stared at the floor, pulse hammering. What the hell is under there? The cat didn't look at him. It stared at the boards with a fierce, almost protective intensity. Nathan forced himself to breathe. He was tired, jet-lagged, overwhelmed. Old houses made noises. Wood expanded and contracted. Animals nested in crawl spaces. There were a dozen rational explanations, but none of them felt right. He grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the warped floorboards. Dust motes drifted lazily in the air. Nothing looked disturbed. The scratching had stopped. Nathan stood, rubbing his face. Okay, enough. I'm not dealing with this at 3 a.m. He headed downstairs, the cat trotting silently beside him. The house felt colder than before, as if the temperature had dropped several degrees. His breath fogged faintly in the beam of his phone. In the living room, he found a stack of blankets and made a makeshift bed on the couch. The cat curled up at his feet, still alert, ears twitching at every creak. Nathan lay awake for a long time, listening. The house groaned. The wind whispered against the windows. Somewhere deep in the walls, something shifted. A soft, dragging sound, like fabric being pulled across wood. He closed his eyes, willing sleep to come. When it finally did, it was shallow and restless. He dreamed of floorboards bending like ribs, of something pressing upward from the darkness below, of pale eyes staring at him through the cracks. He woke at dawn, drenched in sweat. The cat was sitting on his chest, staring down at him with an expression he could only describe as warning. Nathan swallowed. You heard it too, didn't you? The cat blinked once, slowly. A confirmation. Nathan sat up, rubbing his temples. Great, perfect first night here and the house is all ready. Whatever this is, he stood and stretched, trying to shake off the unease. Sunlight filtered weakly through the dusty windows, casting long, skeletal shadows across the floor. He froze. One of the floorboards near the fireplace was raised slightly, just enough to notice as if something beneath had pushed it upward during the night. The cat hissed. Nathan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Something was under the house, and it was getting closer. Nathan spent the morning trying to convince himself that the raised floorboard had a perfectly normal explanation. Wood warped, foundations shifted, animals burrowed. Old houses were unpredictable, especially ones left unattended for years. But the cat's behavior made it impossible to ignore. It followed him everywhere, not affectionately but watchfully. Every time he stepped near the fireplace, the cat darted ahead, blocking his path with a low growl. When he tried to lift the raised board, the cat hissed and swatted at his hand, claws grazing his skin. All right, Nathan muttered, backing away. Message received. The cat sat on the board, tail wrapped around its paws, eyes fixed on him with an intensity that felt almost human. Nathan exhaled and decided to explore the rest of the house instead. He found the kitchen untouched, as though his aunt had simply stepped out one day and never returned. A kettle sat on the stove, coated in dust. A calendar on the wall was frozen on a date from 3 years ago. The back door was bolted shut with 3 separate locks. Odd, upstairs, he discovered a small study. Papers were scattered across the desk, yellowed with age. A faint smell of lavender lingered in the air, the only pleasant scent in the entire house. He sifted through the papers, expecting bills or letters. Instead, he found photographs. Dozens of them, all of Aunt Miriam and the cat. Nathan frowned, flipping through the stack. The earliest photo looked like it was from the 1970s. His aunt in her 20s smiling awkwardly at the camera. And there, perched on her shoulder, was the same black Santander white. Cat, same markings. Same pale eyes. He checked the next photo. And the next. The cat never changed, not in size, not in color, not in age. Nathan felt a chill creep up his spine. That is impossible, he searched for signs of editing. But the photos were old prints, faded, scratched, authentic. The cat appeared in every decade of his aunt's life, always watching, always near her. He found one final photograph tucked in the back of the drawer. It was newer, taken maybe a year before her death. His aunt looked thinner, Her smile strained. She stood on the porch, one hand resting on the railing. The cat sat at her feet, but this time its eyes weren't looking at the camera. They were looking at her, and she looked afraid. Nathan swallowed hard. He set the photo down and rubbed his temples. Okay, so she had a long 20-lived cat. Weird, but not supernatural. The words sounded hollow even to him. A sudden knock at the front door made him jump. The cat, which had been sitting silently in the hallway, bolted downstairs. Nathan followed, heart racing. On the porch stood an elderly woman with a basket of herbs. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "You were Miriam, as nephew," she said, voice trembling. "You shouldn't be here." Nathan forced a smile. "Nice to meet you too." She didn't. He smiled back. Her gaze darted past him into the house. "Is it still here? Is what still here?" Her eyes landed on the cat, which had appeared behind Nathan like a shadow. The woman flinched. "Oh no," she whispered. "It hasn't left." Nathan frowned. "It's just a cat." The woman shook her head violently. "Number no, it isn't. That creature has been here longer than any of us. It watched your aunt. It watches everyone who enters that house." Nathan felt the cat brush against his leg. Its fur stood on end. The woman stepped back, clutching her basket. "If you re-smart, you'll leave before nightfall, before it decides you belong here." Nathan opened his mouth to ask more, but she turned and hurried down the path, disappearing into the trees. He stood frozen in the doorway, the cat at his feet, the house looming behind him like a held breath. For the first time, he wondered if inheriting this place had been a mistake. Nathan spent the rest of the day trying and failing to shake off the old woman's warning. Her fear had been too real, too visceral. It clung to him like a cold mist, following him from room to room. By late afternoon, the house felt heavier, the air thicker. Even the light filtering through the windows seemed dimmer, as though the sun itself hesitated to touch Elder Hollow Road. Nathan tried to distract himself by unpacking. He set up his laptop, sorted through clothes, and attempted to make the kitchen usable. But every few minutes he caught the cat watching him from a doorway or windowsill, its pale eyes unblinking. "Do you ever blink?" he muttered. The cat blinked once, slowly. Nathan sighed and rubbed his face. "I'm talking to a cat. Great." He stepped outside to get some fresh air. The forest surrounding the house was dense, the trees tall and twisted, their branches interlocking overhead like skeletal fingers. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying faint scents of moss and damp soil. The cat followed him out, padding silently across the porch. Nathan sat on the steps, staring at the tree line. What did she mean, before it decides you belong here? The cat didn't answer, of course, but it moved closer, brushing against his leg before trotting down the steps and disappearing around the side of the house. "Hey," Nathan stood. "Where are you going?" He followed the cat to the backyard, where the grass grew wild and uneven. The cat stopped near a patch of overgrown weeds and began digging with surprising urgency. Nathan frowned. "What are you doing?" The cat dug deeper, dirt flying behind it. After a moment it paused and looked up at Nathan, then down at the hole, then back at him. As if expecting him to understand, Nathan knelt and brushed aside the loose soil. Something wooden protruded from the earth, a small charm, carved from dark wood, no bigger than his palm. It was shaped like a circle with jagged edges, etched with symbols he didn't recognize, spirals, lines, and what looked disturbingly like an eye. The cat sat back, tail flicking. Nathan lifted the charm. It was cold, too cold for something buried in the sun-warmed ground. "What is this?" he whispered. The cat meowed, a low, throaty sound that didn't feel like a normal meow at all. Nathan turned the charm over. The back was carved with a pattern that matched something he had seen earlier, but he couldn't place it. Then it hit him, the markings under the raised floorboard. He stood abruptly, heart pounding. "No, no, 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 this is not happening." The cat walked past him, heading toward the house. It paused at the porch steps and looked back, as if waiting. Nathan swallowed hard. "You want me to follow you?" The cat turned and slipped inside. Nathan hesitated only a moment before following. Inside, the house felt colder again. The cat led him to the living room, to the raised floorboard. It sat beside it, staring at the charm in Nathan's hand. Nathan knelt, holding the charm over the board. The floor vibrated, a faint tremor, like something reacting to the object. Nathan jerked back. Nope. Absolutely not. The cat hissed, not at him, but at the floor as if warning whatever was beneath. Nathan backed away slowly, clutching the charm. The house creaked. The air thickened. The scratching began again, louder this time, more insistent. The cat arched its back, fur standing on end. Nathan stared at the floor, dread pooling in his stomach. Whatever was under the house, it knew he had the charm, and it wanted him to come closer. Nathan didn't sleep that night. He lay on the couch, the wooden charm clutched in his hand. The cat curled at his feet like a silent sentinel. Every creak of the house made him flinch. Every shift of the wind sounded like something moving beneath the floorboards. By dawn, he felt hollowed out. The scratching had stopped sometime around 3 in the morning, but the silence that followed was worse. Thick, expectant, as if the house were holding its breath. Nathan stood, stretching stiff muscles. The cat rose too, shaking out its fur before hopping off the couch. It walked toward the hallway, pausing to look back at him. "You want me to follow again?" Nathan muttered. The cat blinked once. He sighed. "Fine, lead the way." The cat padded down the hall, tail low, ears twitching. It stopped at a faded rug near the base of the stairs, a rug Nathan hadn't paid much attention to before. The cat pawed at the corner, tugging it back to reveal a square outline in the floor. A trapdoor. Nathan froze. No way. Absolutely not. The cat stared at him, unblinking. Nathan rubbed his face. "You're serious?" The cat pawed the trapdoor again. Nathan knelt, heart pounding. The outline was old, the wood around it worn smooth. He hooked his fingers under the edge and pulled. The trapdoor lifted with a groan, releasing a gust of cold, stale air that smelled of earth and something metallic. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. Nathan swallowed hard. This is a terrible idea. The cat slipped past him and began descending the steps. "Of course you're going first," Nathan muttered, grabbing his phone for light. He followed. The stairs creaked under his weight, each step sounding like a warning. The air grew colder the deeper he went until his breath fogged in front of him. The walls were rough stone, damp to the touch. The staircase ended in a small landing, opening into a low-ceilinged room. Nathan stepped inside and froze. The room was filled with jars. Hundreds of them, glass jars lining shelves from floor to ceiling, each containing something suspended in murky liquid, bones, feathers, clumps of fur, things he couldn't identify. The air smelled of rot and old chemicals. "What the hell?" he whispered. The cat sat in the center of the room, staring at the far wall. Nathan turned his flashlight toward it and felt his stomach drop. A mural covered the entire wall, painted in dark, flaking strokes. It depicted a massive feline shape, but not any cat he had ever seen. Its body was elongated, too many joints bending in unnatural angles. Its face was a mass of eyes. Dozens of them, arranged in spirals and clusters, all staring outward. At the bottom of the mural, written in his aunt's shaky handwriting, were 3 words: "It watches always." Nathan stumbled back, nearly knocking over a jar. "What is this place?" The cat didn't move. It simply stared at the mural, tail flicking. Nathan's flashlight beam drifted downward, to the floor. Symbols were carved into the stone. The same symbols etched into the wooden charm. Spirals, lines, eyes. The charm in his hand pulsed with cold. Nathan's breath hitched. No. He backed toward the stairs, but the floor vibrated beneath his feet. A low, resonant thud echoed through the room. Then another, coming from beneath the stone. The cat hissed, fur bristling, eyes wide. Nathan stared at the floor as dust drifted upward with each impact. Something was down there, something big. And it was waking up. Nathan stumbled back from the vibrating floor, nearly tripping over a stack of jars. The cat darted in front of him, positioning itself between him and the center of the room as if shielding him from something he couldn't see. The thudding stopped. Silence settled over the chamber, a silence so deep it felt like the air itself was listening. Nathan's breath came in shallow bursts. "I'm getting out of here." He turned and hurried up the stairs, the cat following close behind. When he reached the living room, he slammed the trapdoor shut and dragged a chair over it, as if that flimsy barrier could stop whatever was beneath. He paced the room, running a hand through his hair. What was that? What did she keep down there? A knock at the door made him jump. Nathan froze. The cat hissed softly, but not at the floor this time. At the door. Another knock. Firmer. Nathan approached cautiously and opened it a crack. A man stood on the porch, tall, weathered, with deep lines etched into his face. His clothes were worn, his boots muddy. He held a lantern in one hand, even though daylight still filtered through the trees. "You're Miriam's boy," the man said, voice low and gravelly. "Nephew," Nathan corrected. "Who are you?" "Name's Calder. I live down the road." His eyes flicked past Nathan into the house. "I saw your light last night, thought I should come by." Nathan hesitated. "About what?" Calder stepped closer, lowering his voice. "About the thing under your floor." Nathan's stomach dropped. "You know about it?" Calder nodded grimly. "Everyone around here does, your aunt. She kept it contained barely. But she's gone now, and that means the pact is broken." Nathan blinked. "Pact?" Calder sighed, rubbing his temples. "Look, this isn't easy to explain, but that creature, whatever it is, it's older than this house. Older than the village. It's been here longer than any of us can remember." Nathan swallowed. "What does it want?" Calder's eyes darkened. "To feed." A chill crawled up Nathan's spine. "Feed on what?" "Anything alive," Calder said. "Animals, people, doesn't matter. It hungers, always has." Nathan shook his head. "Then why didn't my aunt leave?" "She tried," Calder said. "But once you inherit the house, you're bound to it. The creature knows your blood. It won't let you go." Nathan felt the room tilt. "That's insane." Calder's expression didn't change. "Believe what you want." "But your aunt made a pact with that cat to keep the creature contained." Nathan blinked. "The cat?" Calder nodded. "It's not just a cat, it's a sentinel, a guardian. It keeps the creature from rising, but it can't do it alone. It needs the house's owner to follow the rules." Nathan's pulse quickened. "What rules?" Calder hesitated. "Your aunt didn't tell you." "She didn't tell me anything." Calder cursed under his breath. "Then you're already in danger." Nathan stepped back. "Tell me now." Calder took a deep breath. 3 rules, simple but absolute. He raised a finger. 1. Never disturb the markings under the floor. They're seals. Break them, and the creature stirs. Nathan felt cold sweat on his neck. 2. Never stay away from the house overnight. If you leave it unguarded, the creature grows stronger. Nathan swallowed hard. And 3, Calder hesitated. Never ignore the cat. If it warns you, you listen. Nathan glanced at the cat, which sat at his feet, staring up at him with those pale, knowing eyes. Calder stepped back from the porch. "Your aunt held it back for years, but the seals are weakening, and now that you're here, it's waking up." Nathan felt the weight of the house pressing in around him. "What happens if the creature gets out?" he whispered. Calder's face went pale. "It won't stop at the house," he said. "It never does." Nathan barely slept after Calder left. The man's warnings echoed in his mind, looping endlessly. Never disturb the markings. Never leave the house overnight. Never ignore the cat. Simple rules, terrifying rules. By morning, the house felt different, heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening. The cat paced restlessly, tail twitching, eyes darting toward the trapdoor every few minutes. Nathan tried to keep busy. He made coffee. He checked his phone for a signal. Still nothing. He attempted to clean the kitchen, but the tension in the air made every task feel pointless. Around noon, he heard it again. Scratch. Not the slow, deliberate scraping from before. This was faster, more frantic. Scratch, scratch. The cat bolted toward the living room, fur bristling. Nathan followed, dread coiling in his stomach. The chair he'd placed over the trapdoor had shifted, not fallen. Shifted, as if something beneath had pushed it aside. Nathan froze. No, 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 no. The scratching intensified, turning into pounding. The floorboards trembled. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The cat hissed, arching its back. Nathan took a step forward, and the floorboard near the trapdoor cracked. A thin line split down the wood, widening slowly like a mouth opening. Nathan stumbled back. Oh God, the pounding stopped. Silence. Then, a whisper. Not a voice, not exactly. More like breath sliding through cracks in the wood. Nathan leaned in despite himself, heart hammering. A single word formed in the whisper, faint but unmistakable. "Nathan." He jerked back so fast he hit the wall. "No, no, that's impossible." The cat yowled, a sharp, furious sound, and lunged at him, claws out. It didn't attack him, but shoved him away from the trapdoor with surprising force. Nathan fell to the floor, breath knocked out of him. The cat stood between him and the trapdoor, growling deep in its throat. Nathan stared at it, stunned. I wasn't going to open it. The cat hissed again, as if calling him a liar. Nathan pushed himself up, shaking. Okay, I get it. I'm staying away. But the house wasn't done with him. A sudden gust of cold air swept through the room, extinguishing the small lamp he'd turned on earlier. The temperature plummeted. Nathan's breath fogged. The whisper came again. From the walls this time. Hungry. Nathan clamped his hands over his ears. Stop. Stop. The cat leapt onto the fireplace mantel, knocking down a framed photograph. It shattered on the floor, glass scattering across the wood. Nathan flinched, then froze. Behind the fallen frame, etched into the wall, was a symbol. A spiral. The same spiral carved into the charm. The same spiral painted in the underground room. Nathan stepped closer, heart pounding. What is this? The cat hissed and swatted at his leg, trying to push him back. Nathan ignored it. He reached out and touched the symbol. The wall vibrated. A deep, resonant pulse rippled through the house like a heartbeat. The cat screeched, launching itself at his hand. Too late. The symbol flared with cold light. The floorboards buckled. And from beneath the trapdoor came a sound that didn't belong in any world Nathan knew. A guttural, wet exhale. Like something waking from a long, starving sleep. Nathan stumbled back, horrified. I didn't mean to. The cat's eyes were wide with fury and fear. Nathan had broken a rule. And the creature beneath the house knew it. The house felt alive. Not metaphorically, not in the way old buildings creak and sigh, but aware. The walls seemed to pulse with a faint rhythm like breath. The floorboards flexed under Nathan's feet, as though something beneath them shifted in response to his movements. The cat paced in tight circles, tail lashing, ears pinned flat. Every few seconds it stopped, staring at the trapdoor as if expecting it to burst open. Nathan backed away from the living room, heart pounding. I didn't mean to break anything. I didn't know. The cat hissed sharply as if scolding him. Nathan pressed his palms to his temples. Okay, think. Calder said the seals keep it contained. I touched one. I triggered something. But maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can. A deep, resonant thud cut him off. Then another. The floorboards near the trapdoor bowed upward, dust drifting from the ceiling with each impact. Nathan stumbled back. No. The cat leapt onto the mantel again, yowling, a raw, desperate sound that made Nathan's skin crawl. It wasn't warning him this time. It was warning the thing below. The thudding stopped. Silence then, a slow, wet, dragging sound, like something enormous pulling itself across stone. Nathan's breath hitched. It's moving! The cat crouched low, muscles coiled, eyes fixed on the trapdoor. A whisper seeped through the cracks in the floorboards, not words this time, but a sound like breath being drawn through teeth. Nathan felt the air pressure shift. The temperature dropped so fast his skin prickled with frost. The whisper grew louder. Nothing. He staggered back, shaking his head violently. Stop saying my name. The voice didn't stop. Blood. Kin. Come. Nathan's stomach twisted. No, I'm not going anywhere near that thing. The floorboards bulged. A crack split down the center of the trapdoor, widening slowly. Something pale pressed against the underside. Not a hand, not exactly, but something shaped like one, long jointed. Wrong, the cat launched itself at the trapdoor, claws out screeching. It raked at the wood, not to open it, but to keep it closed. Nathan watched in horror as the pale appendage pressed harder, splintering the wood. He grabbed a fireplace poker and rushed forward. Move! The cat darted aside. Still hissing, Nathan slammed the poker down on the bulging board. The impact echoed through the house. The pale shape recoiled, retreating with a wet hiss. Nathan struck again, and again the floorboards shuddered. The whisper turned into a guttural growl. Mine, Nathan backed away, chest heaving. I'm not yours. The cat leapt onto the trapdoor, planting itself firmly atop the crack. Its fur bristled, its eyes glowing with a strange, cold light. The growl faded. The dragging sound retreated, silence returned. But it wasn't relief, it was anticipation. Nathan sank onto the couch, trembling. It's after me, why me? The cat turned its head slowly, fixing him with a gaze that felt ancient. Nathan swallowed. Because I'm family, because I inherited the house. The cat blinked once, a confirmation. Nathan buried his face in his hands. I didn't ask for this. The house creaked in response, a long, low groan that sounded almost like laughter. Nathan looked up sharply. The cat was staring at the staircase now, ears twitching. Nathan followed its gaze. A shadow moved at the top of the stairs, not a person, not an animal, something tall, thin, wrongly jointed. It stood perfectly still, watching him. Nathan's blood turned to ice. The creature wasn't just beneath the house anymore. It had found another way in. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. The figure at the top of the stairs didn't move. It simply stood there, tall and impossibly thin, its limbs too long, its posture wrong in a way that made Nathan's instincts scream. The dim light from the window stretched its shadow down the staircase like a dark, reaching hand. The cat hissed, a deep, guttural sound Nathan had never heard from any animal. Its back arched, fur bristling, eyes glowing with a cold, unnatural light. The figure twitched, not a step, not a shift of weight. A twitch like a puppet whose strings had been yanked by an impatient hand. Nathan stumbled backward. No, you're supposed to be under the house. The figure twitched again, its head jerking to the side with a crack that echoed through the hallway. Slowly, it leaned forward as if sniffing the air. Nahathan. The whisper seeped from its unmoving mouth. Nathan's legs nearly gave out. Stay back. The cat leapt onto the bottom stair, positioning itself between Nathan and the creature. It lowered its body, tail lashing, a low growl vibrating through the floorboards. The creature responded. It stepped forward. The movement was wrong, too smooth, too fluid, like joints bending in ways they shouldn't. Its limbs stretched, elongating as it descended the stairs, each step making the wood groan. Nathan backed into the living room, gripping the fireplace poker so tightly his knuckles went white. Don't come closer. The creature didn't listen. It reached the bottom of the stairs and paused, towering over the cat, its head tilted, eyes, if it had eyes, fixed on Nathan. Blood. Kin. The cat launched itself upward with a snarl. It struck the creature's chest, claws sinking into pale, rubbery flesh. The creature shrieked, a sound like metal tearing, and staggered back. Its limbs flailed, twisting unnaturally as it tried to shake the cat off. Nathan watched in horror as the cat clung to it, ripping and tearing with feral fury. The creature slammed itself against the wall once. Twice. The impact shook the house. Jars rattled in the kitchen. Dust rained from the ceiling. The cat held on. Nathan's heart pounded. Come on! Come on! The creature slammed itself again, and this time the cat was thrown off. It hit the floor hard, sliding across the wood. No, Nathan rushed forward, but the cat was already dragging itself upright, limping, one leg bent at an unnatural angle. It hissed defiantly, forcing itself between Nathan and the creature once more. The creature lunged. The cat met it head-on. They collided in a blur of claws and pale limbs. The creature shrieked again, stumbling backward toward the trapdoor. The floorboards trembled violently, as if something below was responding to the struggle. Nathan realized what was happening. The creature wasn't fully out. It was still tethered to the thing beneath the house. The cat knew it, and it was trying to force the creature back down. The cat leapt onto the creature's back, biting deep into its neck. The creature convulsed, limbs flailing wildly. It staggered toward the trapdoor, the cracked, weakened wood groaning under its weight. Nathan's breath caught. Come on, push it back. The creature lurched forward. The trapdoor splintered. With a final, furious snarl, the cat drove its claws into the creature's spine. The floor gave way. The creature fell through the trapdoor, dragging the cat with it. Nathan screamed. No! He lunged forward, reaching out, but he was too late. The cat disappeared into the darkness below, its yowl echoing through the house. Then came the sound. A wet, crushing impact, a final hiss, silence. Nathan collapsed to his knees, staring at the shattered trapdoor, chest heaving, tears burning his eyes. The cat, the sentinel, was gone, and the thing beneath the house was no longer contained. For a long moment, Nathan couldn't move. The shattered trapdoor gaped open like a wound in the center of the living room. Cold air seeped from the darkness below, carrying the faint smell of damp earth and something metallic blood, or something older than blood. The house groaned around him, its beams trembling as though bracing for what was coming next. The cat was gone, the sentinel, the guardian. The only thing that had stood between him and the creature beneath the house. Nathan wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "I'm sorry," he whispered into the silence. "I didn't know." The house answered with a low, resonant creak, a warning or an invitation. Nathan forced himself to stand. His legs shook, but he stayed upright. He looked at the broken trapdoor, at the splintered wood and the yawning blackness beneath. He knew what he had to do. Calder's words echoed in his mind. Your aunt kept it contained, barely, but she's gone now, and that means the pact is broken. Nathan swallowed hard. Then I'll finish what she started. He grabbed the wooden charm, still cold, still pulsing faintly, and stepped toward the trapdoor. The air grew colder with each step, as if the darkness below were exhaling. He descended. The stairs creaked under his weight, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence. The deeper he went, the more the air thickened, heavy with moisture and something else. Something alive. At the bottom, the underground chamber stretched before him, lit only by the weak beam of his phone. The jars lining the shelves rattled softly, as though disturbed by a distant tremor. The mural on the far wall, the many-eyed feline deity, seemed to shift in the dim light, its painted eyes glistening. Nathan stepped forward. A whisper drifted through the chamber. "Nephen," he froze. The voice came from the far corner where the stone floor had cracked open. A fissure split the ground wide enough for something to crawl through. Something had. A pale limb emerged from the darkness, long-jointed, glistening with a thin sheen of moisture. It gripped the edge of the fissure, pulling. Nathan stumbled back, heart pounding. No, stay down there. Another limb emerged, then another. The creature hauled itself upward, its body unfolding like a nightmare given shape. It was tall, impossibly thin. Its skin stretched tight over bones that didn't match any human anatomy. Its head tilted toward him, mouth opening in a soundless scream. Blood kin. Nathan raised the charm instinctively. The creature recoiled, hissing. The charm pulsed, once, twice, then grew warm in his hand. The symbols carved into it glowed faintly, matching the markings on the floor. Nathan realized what his aunt had done. The charm wasn't a key, it was a seal, a piece of the binding ritual. He stepped toward the creature, holding the charm out like a torch. "Stay back." The creature shrieked, retreating toward the fissure, but not far enough. It lunged again, limbs flailing, desperate. Nathan pressed the charm to the floor. The symbols carved into the stone ignited with cold white light. The chamber shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The jars shattered one by one, their contents spilling across the floor. The creature screamed, a sound that tore through Nathan's skull and collapsed, its limbs twisting, contorting, shrinking as the light intensified. Nathan pressed harder, shouting over the roar, "Stay down." The fissure snapped shut. The creature's body convulsed once, twice, then dissolved into a cloud of ash that scattered across the stone. Silence fell. The light faded. Nathan collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. It was over. He didn't know how long he knelt there, trembling, before he heard it, a soft sound behind him, a faint, familiar meow. Nathan turned slowly. The cat stood at the bottom of the stairs. Its fur was matted. One leg was bent, but its eyes pale, silver, ancient were bright, alive. Nathan let out a shaky breath. You made it." The cat limped toward him and pressed its head against his hand. For the first time since arriving at Elder Hollow Road, Nathan felt the house exhale, a long, weary sigh as though relieved. The creature was gone. The pact restored. The sentinel still standing. Nathan looked up at the mural, at the many-eyed guardian painted on the wall. "I'll take care of it," he whispered. "I'll take care of you and the house." The cat blinked slowly, a new pact, a new keeper. Above them, the house settled into silence. Not the heavy, suffocating silence of before, but something calmer, watchful, waiting, alive. And Nathan understood, with a chill that would never fully leave him, some houses don't choose their owners, they choose their guardians.